Welcome to the Habits and Hustle podcast, a podcast that uncovers the rituals, unspoken habits, and mindsets of extraordinary people. A podcast powered by Habit Nest. Now here's your host, Jennifer Cohen.
First of all, I love today's guest on Habits and Hustle. We have Heidi Powell, and Heidi is fitness. I call you a fitness guru because
you're so nice.
You are a poster child for fitness, okay? Beyond, all right? So she was, when you were on Extreme Weight Loss, the show on ABC, right?
Yes,
okay.
I was on, so it was 5 seasons. I was on season 3, 4, and 5.
With her husband,
yes,
Chris Powell,
yes,
who was adorable also. You guys are like honestly the prettiest couple, the cutest couple. I cannot be the first person to ever tell you this. Like, you guys look like a perfect American Pie couple.
Thank you. And then you see our kids, and they literally are like little clones.
And then they're clones of you too. Yeah,
they're the cutest.
And you have 3 kids.
4.
4 kids?
4. So I have 2 from my first marriage, 2 with Chris.
Okay, first marriage. I didn't even know you were married before.
Yes.
I just assumed it was with Chris.
No. Chris and I have only been together for 11 years. And then I was married for 5 years prior to that. So I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow.
I know.
All over the place. I just found out something new about you right there. Wow. Okay. There you go. So you basically have like the Brady Bunch, kind of.
Yes.
Did he have kids?
He didn't have kids, just mine and ours.
And was he married before too?
Never married before.
Okay.
No.
So this first for him.
He's very vision focused. Like for him, what he's doing and the impact he wants to make, that has been his marriage until he met me.
Until he met you. You changed it all.
I did.
I mean, okay, let's just talk about, I mean, we've actually had like a 3-hour conversation even before we even started the podcast. So I gotta like just get into my brain, okay, what did we not just talk about? What can I bring into the podcast? Okay, let's talk about this. So let's talk about your fitness journey. So, like I said, she was on Extreme Weight Loss. If you follow her, you were a very well-known fitness influencer just because you walk the walk, you talk the talk. And like you do so many things in the space.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love it.
Well, it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like how did you start your journey with fitness?
Well, I was raised in a very fit family. So fitness was something that I was just born around. So it was never foreign to me. I was a cheerleader. I was a gymnast. I was everything under the sun. Actually struggled with an eating disorder as a result of that, which we can talk about another,
I'm sure. Whatever. I mean, a lot of people who come from a gymnast background have a lot of struggles with that.
Yeah. Well, and my mom and dad, my dad was like a 6'1" version of Chris, just muscly and big and strong. And my mom, little muscle Barbie, like the cutest little thing.
Like you.
So, well, no.
Muscle Barbie. That's what
my mom's like my bar.
Oh, I don't know.
She's like, I don't know. She's great. So yeah, an eating disorder stemmed from that. And then for me, I actually got out of the fitness world I trained right out of high school, got out of the fitness world, and I did home loans and mortgages because business is, so I'm equally as passionate about the business side as I am the training side. And I always and that's how Chris and I met. I was actually helping him with business. He was doing the training thing, and it all just became intertwined, and I would do the back end. And then I also have more of like an emotional behavioral background because of addiction that my family went through. And Chris is very sciencey. So we became super complementary of each other when we started working together, and then we created the show, and I was recertified as a trainer, and I would help behind the scenes as he did everything on camera. And I mean, you're here in LA, so filming a show is like no easy task. Like it's like the filming alone is a full-time job. And so Chris was literally going from person to person to person to person. And then he'd have to do Good Morning America. He'd have to do all the press associated with it and do 8 real transformations at a time.
Was he alone doing it? Because by the way, I don't know if you know this, I had a weight loss show for 1 season.
No way.
Yes.
What was it?
It was called Shedding for the Wedding. I'm sure nobody's heard of it. But
no, I actually have.
Oh, you have?
Because Matt Osmus was our producer, and I don't know if he did it with you, but we had Extreme Weight Loss.
Yeah.
And then we had Extreme Weight Loss Love Can't Wait. So we helped couples
get out.
We only did it with 3 couples get ready for their wedding.
Yeah.
And that was the theme that we followed.
That is hilarious.
Yes.
So me and this other trainer named Nikki Hollander were the trainers on that show.
Okay.
It was by the same creator as The Biggest Loser.
Same with ours.
Really? Dave?
No, so Biggest Loser was 2 companies.
Yes, it was 2
Fremantle, right? And 3Ball.
And 3Ball,
We were 3Ball.
Oh, okay. So this is Dave Broom, who was with
Fremantle.
He was with not even Fremantle. He was the one who sold the idea to NBC.
Okay.
And he was independent. I think he has his own company called 257.
Okay.
257. Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's so funny.
So funny.
Oh
they
my
all
gosh.
are just trying to keep up with each other.
100%. Because this is now going back, it was 10 years ago, let's say.
Okay, that was yours?
No. I'm trying to think. Mine was I would say about 10 years ago.
Our Love Can't Wait was our final season, so it was 2014 to 15 is when we did Love Can't Wait. And I think that show had been on prior.
Okay, so maybe,
right?
Yeah, well, I don't remember. I don't know the time frame exactly, but I will say this, that first of all, being on a show, I can't imagine as for Chris, just being the sole trainer. I know just having me and Nikki, it's hard. And when we had other trainers behind the scenes who were helping train when we weren't able to do it, I'm sure you guys did that too.
So, and because our clients were all over the US, we had to have somebody in every city for that person's daily accountability, but still, we were the head trainer. So Chris was filming, and I became kind of the one that would pick up the pieces and create the structure. And the problem children, or the ones that were struggling, would actually come stay with us in Arizona with me and my kids. And so then we started
doing... They were allowed to do that?
No, we didn't tell anyone.
Oh, wow.
Now everybody knows. And they knew the production company.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but they all knew. We ended up doing an Arizona house. So they actually had a company rented house that they would keep 4 to 10 people in at any given time. Because we got to the point where our show had 16 participants per year. And so they would keep them in Arizona. I would train them. And we'd send them home as they were good. Then we'd bring people that were struggling in, keep them for a couple months or a week or however long they needed, send them home. The production company then started telling ABC what was going on. And they kind of were like, hey, it's a whole family thing. It's Chris, it's his wife, it's his kids. And they started kind of slowly bringing me on. And then season 4 and 5.
That's how it happened?
When I was pregnant every season. I was literally having babies. Yeah.
Oh, so how does that's amazing. I didn't understand how your show structure is. I know compared to The Biggest Loser, how does it work for extreme weight loss?
Biggest Loser was 3 months. Yeah, it was. And actually
now it's come back again,
Biggest Loser's 3 months, I believe, or something like that. Yeah. Very short term. So the way that the trainers would work with the people wasn't a structure that worked for us, because it was short term. You could do faster weight loss and get the results. For us, we have a full year with the person. So we would start.
Oh my God.
Yes, we would start season 1 2010, say June 2010. I think it was earlier, but by June 2011, that person's year is up. So all of those people were at their finale. Now, we had actually started season 2 halfway through season 1. So we overlapped, and then season 3 started here. Then we got to the point where it was season 3 was a full year, season 4, and we doubled the participants. So every year we worked with 16 to 20 people, because some of them were couples.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we ended
up. That's a grind, though.
It was. And so as we were finishing, say, season 4 in May, we were casting season 5 March, April. And so Chris and I had a ton of work there, because we were so picky about who we worked with. We would spend weeks with these people, 40 of them, to narrow it down to the finalists. We are trainers. We are not talent. 100%.
Right. Well, I mean, they make you talent, right? But that's the opposite, because normally what would happen, a lot of times what happens is they find talent and then you play a trainer on TV.
Yeah.
But you were actually the opposite.
And that for TV was something that was so terrifying, and camera and anything where I had to speak, because I can speak to somebody in person and I could train them and I could feel them and I could get them to where they needed to go. But the second you put a camera in front of me, I just I didn't feel like I was made for that.
Right.
But it's so natural when they're following you around and it's something they're just doing what you love to do. You become good at whatever it is that you're doing. Because
you're doing it you're authentic with it, I guess. It was something that came from you.
Yeah.
And so did you put together the programs then?
100% of them. Yep. Chris and I both did all of the programs. And it was, at first, it was a little bit hard because it was the same producers as Biggest Loser. Mm-hmm. So they were used to these faster things. And season 1 and 2, I think we were a little more extreme with the clients. Mm-hmm. And then by season 3, actually in the middle of season 2, we're like, okay, that doesn't work. We can't we can't do things that are going to hurt our clients long term.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do things that are going to betray their trust. Like, we need to keep in mind transformation first, shoot a show second. Because if we can't maintain that person's trust and actually get them long-term results, because we need their trust the whole time, we have no show. But if we can have a transformation and we can help people understand the value of being vulnerable and opening up and talking about their challenges and their struggles, and if they binge, talk about it on camera. Let us like reenact a moment where you're eating pizza in your car, because it happened.
Right.
I mean, and
I'm sure
it really
happens. I'm sure it happens a lot.
Yes, it created some really cool moments.
I mean, and that's real.
Yes,
because that's really what happens in real life. So the thing with Biggest Loser is, like, obviously you're sequestered for a very finite period of time.
Yep.
But the big criticism that I remember is that people don't maintain their weight loss, right? Because when you do things with that extreme, then no one can work out for 10 hours a day and maintain that.
No, you can't. And so we were different because we didn't have to do it all in 3 months.
You had a year. Yeah. That sounds like a real. It was awesome. That sounds like a program that someone can actually abide by. And
actually, towards the end, so the first season we started out with people that were, I believe James was 600 pounds. So there were some that were really, really big. By season 4 and 5, we would get smaller every season just to make it more realistic.
And that's harder.
It is. It is harder, but it was also something where it's like, hey, hopefully we wanted a lot of the criticism of Biggest Loser was coming out where people were gaining the weight back, and we wanted the best chance. But at the end of the day, like, one thing I've had to learn to be okay with, Chris and I both, people have free will. You can lay it out. You can give them the way. You can make it totally sustainable and something that they can do for the rest of their lives. You can give them all of the mental, emotional, soul tips, but if they don't choose it and they don't want to maintain it, you can't make them. And that's what it is hard. I know the media loves to poke holes and like, oh, it was Biggest Loser's plan, or it was this. No, at the end of the day, it's all choice. And I'm sure there were things done on Biggest Loser or wherever where it did suppress their metabolism, but that's also a natural result of rapid weight loss, and something you can actually kickstart too if you have the right training.
And also if you have more muscle in your body, muscle, you can burn more calories. So how many hours, like day to day, how were you training these people? Was it 2 hours a day, an hour a day? What were you doing?
So we actually we start small with everybody. Okay. So like, I'm not sure if I go up or down with speed. What are you at?
I'm at 2.1 for speed.
Oh my gosh, I'm going slow because I'm not used to this.
Okay, you can listen, Heidi. You should be going at 10 speed. We're on these treadmills, by the way, for people who are listening to this.
I know. Yeah. If I'm breathing heavy, it's because I'm not used to walking.
It's not what
talking.
You think. Yeah. It's just because she's walking on a treadmill.
So we actually do things a little bit different. In fact, a lot of the people on our show, when we would first give them their nutrition plans, they're like, "There's no way. Like, I can't eat 2,500 calories and lose weight." And we'd be like, just trust us. Like, you're coming from 10,000 calories a day. You can go down to 2,500 or 3,000 or 4,000 and make it. Because the thing is, the less we can do up front and have them lose weight, the better off we are long term. Now, that totally defies what they did on Biggest Loser. But you understand as a trainer, it's like you just play one card at a time. You sit there, you have this whole hand. And for all of our people, we'd be like, hey, you're 500 pounds. You have these amazing V8 engines, these quads that are like metabolic furnaces. Your whole body is a metabolic furnace. You're just eating so much right now that you can't burn the fat. So cool. Keep you eating like this and just move. So let's try moving for 20 minutes a day. And if they're dropping weight, we let them keep going until they stop. Then it's like, okay, now let's drop your calories by 1,000. Or it might be, how many days a week are you binging? 5? 7? Okay, so binge 5 days instead of 7. Like, it's literally the smallest baby step. So it's like, hey, all you have to do is every other day, cut out your pizza. Or every other day, do this. And then it's like you kickstart them. You have them do one thing. It starts dropping the weight off. And they get results. And then once that stops, it's like, okay, now that you've settled into that, let's increase your cardio by 30 minutes or whatever it is.
That's amazing. So it sounds to me what you do is you let them hit a plateau.
Yes.
And then once they hit that plateau, then you tweak and change
100%. Especially with my eating disorder past, any type of restrictive diet is only going to throw you into a downward spiral. It's going to make you feel like you can't do it. You're going to quit. Even if you gain the weight or you lose the weight, you're going to gain it back because it's not sustainable. You need something that works, and it's one card at a time.
Yeah.
It's like playing poker with your body.
It is, though.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So let's go back to your eating disorder, because what's interesting about yours is you kind of did it, you had the opposite, right? Like you weren't overweight. You seem like you were underweight because I can see your bones are very, very small.
They are small.
With big, big muscles on top of the bones. But besides that,
yes.
You were saying, because as for when you were a gymnast or whatever else, like it's kind of part of what happens a lot of times.
Yeah, I am a smaller boned person, and it's funny because I didn't ever I had body dysmorphia as bad as I did anorexia, which then turned to bulimia, but the dysmorphia was everything because I was a small person, but I compared myself to my mom, who is a smaller boned person, because you only know who you're around.
Right, what you know. Right?
Yes, and so for me, I always was like, gosh, I'm an inch and a half taller than her, and I'm 10 pounds heavier. So all I saw was that I was bigger. I didn't understand, my brain wasn't developed enough to understand that, no, you just have a slightly bigger frame, and that's okay. Weight doesn't matter, So for me...
How old are you at this point?
I started having body image issues 12. I mean, maybe even younger.
Really?
Maybe even
that
10.
young?
Yes, because I was a gymnast. And I remember buckling my seatbelt in the car next to a friend of mine who was smaller boned, hadn't yet hit a growth spurt. And I remember cutting off a part of my stomach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have, in my mind, I hate this phrase, but I remember saying, I'm fat. Like it was just this, and I wasn't. Looking back, I was so tiny, but it was just the way that my brain was unable to perceive the reality of the situation.
Wow. Yeah.
And my parents were such fitnessy, amazing people who were like, oh, come to the gym, let's go work out, let's do this, very trying so hard to just get me to enjoy life the way that they did. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not my mom. Like, I'm not as fit as she is. I'm not this. I felt like in order to get the love that she got from my dad, which was a lot, he doted on her till the day he died, I felt like I needed to be who she was. So it's not their fault, because obviously it was mine. It was my lack of information. It was everything they were doing to try to provide me with the healthiest lifestyle possible. I was taking it and letting my insecurities make it something that it wasn't.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was a really difficult.
How did it manifest at that age?
It didn't really manifest until when I was 16. I was a cheerleader at that point, 15 through high school, end of high school. I was a flyer, so I was the one on top.
Oh, yeah.
And my undeveloped brain was like, oh, it's all about how heavy I am. Where the reality is, did you ever do cheer?
No, but I just watched the cheer documentary on Netflix, and I saw how they fly, these flyers go.
I was a flyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
But in my mind, so I realize now, because I have body awareness. With age comes body awareness and just knowledge in general. But like, how light you are is how tight you are. Like it literally, the more you can control your body, the lighter and easier you are for a base. But at the time, I didn't get that.
Right.
And so I thought I wouldn't even, I remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty, but it's middle of practice. I don't even want to drink water because I'm going to get hevier. So I would not drink water in practice.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, I know. Hold on, drink up. But, so I ended up blowing out my ACL my junior year. And when I couldn't work out in my mind, I was like, gosh, if I can't work out, I am going to gain weight. Right. I can't eat. I cannot eat. So I stopped eating as much as I could, got down to, I was 89 pounds, almost 5'6". Right now, I'm 123. So I was 35 pounds less than I am now.
I can't even imagine that.
It was hideable a little bit because I have muscly bones.
Now you're very muscly.
Well, but it was my family started noticing and my coach noticed, and I ended up blowing out my ACL again the next year. Same thing. Got even smaller, sicker. My dad would force feed. He'd be like, you got to eat a cheeseburger. He'd cry. So I'd eat, and then I started learning how to purge because in my mind, I couldn't conceptualize how food would go in my body and not turn to fat. And I was so scared of any extra fat because I felt like if I don't look like my mom, I'm not lovable. Yeah.
It's interesting that your mom was that person. I mean, I guess that does happen. Yeah. You're right, because your world is you're myopic at that age too. Yeah, your world is small.
Yes.
Were you comparing yourself to the other girls who you were cheering with, or?
You know what's interesting? Not as much. I'm sure I was, but not as much. I think we all have one person we crave love from and try and get it. And for me, it was always my dad.
Right. Oh.
And I think that I tried, it's funny because he was so against and trying to fix my eating disorder, but it was like, I just couldn't get past it because I was scared. What if and my dad was so proud of his family. He'd be like, look at you guys. You're all so accomplished. You get straight A's. We have the best family. He was so good and he was successful. And oh, you guys, you go in and you're so polite to people and I'm so proud of you. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I become like, I'm the one daughter. He has 3 sons and 1 daughter. And if I'm out of shape, what does that mean about me and what I say about our family and who he is? And so there was just so much family pride to the point where it kind of paralyzed me.
Right.
And it wasn't until I married and pregnant with my first baby that I actually stopped. My husband had no idea, but I was still bulimic.
How did you hide it?
It wasn't all day, every day. It was for a period of time before I started dating him. I mean, it was a full-on, like a drug addiction. I went from a straight A student in high school to ASU failing. Could not keep my grades up because I was so consumed by, oh my gosh, I ate something, I need to throw it up. It was this constant cycle, like restrict, binge, just over and over, day after day after day.
So were you exercising? Were you also an exercise bulimic?
Yes and no.
Or fanatic, I guess.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I never exercised to the point of, I threw up more than I exercised the calories off.
Right. So, but did you also exercise though?
I did.
But not
for hours. I remember seeing girls and being like, I'll stick with the toilet.
I know. I see these girls now.
Like fun to me.
It looks like the purging is much easier. Right?
I thought it was.
Yeah, it sounds like it, I mean, I would always be like, sometimes when I was young, it's just a terrible thing to say, but when I felt like I was like, I binge all the time. I'm like, I wish I had the ability to do it.
Do you know how many people I've heard that from? But for me, it definitely,
I couldn't figure it out.
It's a good thing. It was something I hid. So I stopped throwing up when I had babies because
But while you were pregnant, you were doing it?
No, I was not. Not when I was pregnant. Or nursing, because when I'm nursing, I realized I'm like, oh my gosh, I can eat all this food and burn it off.
Right, you can burn it off.
After I was nursing between Maddox and Marley, it started again. And then I got pregnant. It's easy not to when you're pregnant because you're like, okay, I'm building a baby. What do I want it to be made of?
And it's also kind of more acceptable in your brain to be to be bigger, right? So.
But and the way I would hide it, I don't know that it was a daily thing at that point when I was married because you get busy. Busy for me keeps me out of trouble. Mm-hmm. But it was something
for
where
everybody, by the way. Busy keeps people out of trouble.
It does, but it was late at night. If I would eat, if I would sit and watch a show and I would start eating crackers or something, then I'd be like, gosh, I ate one too many. My brain, and then I'd be like, I might as well eat, or blind binging.
That's what I do too. But by the way, I think I still do that, or not the binging part, but I'm like, if I have I'll have a few French fries, and I'm like, well, I already had too many.
I might as well have the ice cream.
Exactly. Yeah. Or I'll order 3 more orders of French fries.
Yes.
It's a crazy psychological mind fuck.
I know.
And then you really feel bad.
I know, you do. And that kept me in that horrible cycle. And it wasn't until, and it did get better after Marley, a little bit better. And for me, it wasn't until my divorce when it started happening again, but I was I knew by then, okay, if I keep myself busy, I'm going to be fine. And even though I wasn't binging and purging as much, the anorexia and the body dysmorphia was still there. I remember I would go till 5 p.m. and have a half a sandwich. And then I'd barely eat anything at night because in my mind, I just didn't think I'd be able to maintain the physique that I had.
How are you able to, I ask this to people all the time who are anorexic or how do they have the ability to have that mental strength? It takes mental fortitude and strength.
It does.
Discipline that off the charts.
It does. It does. And I have that.
Obviously.
But then I also, for me, so when I taught myself how to throw up, I actually became something I never was before, and that was a food addict. And so that was bad. So fast forward to when I worked on the show, I had never told Chris I had an eating disorder, and I felt like I had gone through it because I'd gone to therapy. I wasn't binging and purging because I was so busy with Chris. I don't even think I ever have since I've been married to Chris, or with Chris. Chris taught me how to eat more. Like I would always be like, I want to grow a butt. I want to grow, like I had muscle groups I couldn't grow. And he'd be like, you can keep complaining or you can listen to me. Like you have to eat. You have to eat more. So he was like, he put me on a plan and he's like, try it out. It was like 2,000 calories. He's like, if it doesn't work, give it 2 weeks and then go back to what wasn't working before.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I love that. Yeah. Like I can try it. So it took me 2 or 3 times like trying and sticking to it before I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's right. And that changed my way of thinking. Knowing that food wasn't the enemy and knowing that I could eat things that like I had deprived myself of before was game changing for me. And it
didn't screw up your metabolism at all.
Not normally, at all. You think that, but what happens is the longer you go eating more food, the more regulated your metabolism gets to the foods that you are eating.
Right.
So I do think I had a suppressed metabolism, but I think the more my body, and I might have felt a little bit fluffy for a while, and I did. I remember because it was like a week and a half. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining. And then like at the 2-week mark, you just start evening out. So it's that consistency that really like helped change my body. But then it wasn't until I started competing that like, I truly feel like my body dysmorphia was, I wouldn't say gone away, because I think we all have some sort of body dysmorphia. But there was more of an acceptance there because then I had my own coach who was like, listen, in order to be competitive on stage, you're too small. Like you need to eat. I know you're eating at the time, it was like 1,800 calories. And he was like, no more running, no cardio of any kind. I need you to eat a lot of food. And so he gave me my macros, scared the crap out of me, like trying to eat that much. But it literally, like I knew I had to check in with him every single week or I was not going to follow the plan. Like I needed to go in there and be able to say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not on track, and have him look at me and say, no, you're on track. Like you're supposed to gain weight. So knowing that gaining weight was a part of my plan completely shifted my mind. And it's the whole like ignorance is bliss, but knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Like it was nice to like not know some of the things that I knew, but it's so much better now for me. Like I know if I start feeling softer, I need more carbs. If I start feeling too...
I wish I had that problem. I feel super soft now.
Well, and the thing is, you might need more carbs and less fat and actually lift heavier weights or something. So I understand my body.
Right.
So for me, like even right after my surgery, it was a big deal for me not to fall into any disordered eating because I actually knew, okay, my body is what it is right now. I know I have the power to make it what I want later. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to love it through this. I'm going to care for my knee and not do anything stupid. I'm going to eat enough now so my metabolism doesn't suffer. That way, when I'm ready, I can start. And the rest was great for me.
Well, you also though are like, you are. What happens to people who aren't naturally, like you are naturally small, naturally lean, right? You're like what we call like a not a mesomorph, but an ectomorph. An ectomorph.
I'm kind of a blend.
I see you like maybe a blend to some, but to me, you look like an ectomorph only because you're so lean naturally and small. So like my friends who are like that, they can lift 2 pounds and they look ripped, you know, and they look super fit.
Yeah.
Me, I gotta like be in the gym doing this, doing that. Like I think genetics does play a piece in it though.
They do. They say genetics loads the gun.
I heard
lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Lifestyle pulls the trigger.
It does. And I think that's part of understanding. Like I know for me, a high carb diet is the best thing for me. High carb, low fat. And if I want to increase my metabolism, I have to go high carb, high fat and really load my body so that when I start lowering my fats, I'm like a burning machine. But like another body type, you might be a high fat, low carb person. I don't know.
I think I was saying to you before we started the podcast, like the last 2-3 months I've been off my food what I normally would eat. And I've been traveling a lot and I've been exercising.
Good.
But like I always do.
Yeah.
Like that to me is a consistent part of my morning routine.
Yeah.
However, this is why I think what you eat is 95% of it.
Yeah.
Because
it is.
Because I still gained, I told you, like 8 pounds in like, you know, accumulative in the last 2 months, just based on me not following a proper diet.
Yeah.
I'm still working out like a fiend.
It is.
And I've been eating carbs, and this is the result. You know what I mean? No, but you know what I mean? I've been like a lot of carbs.
Yes.
But I've been doing I've been binging it, like 5 muffins, because one muffin's not enough.
I know, the muffins are so damn good.
Right.
I know.
So I think that like people having to know what they are, but it's scary because I think that, God, you're saying you need to eat more carbs to get lean is not something that most people hear.
No,
so how do
it's
people
not.
figure that out?
Well, so for example, in our app, I would say 9 out of 10 people that enter their age, height, weight, gender goals, get the calories back, and they come back and they say, this is way too high. There's no way. No way I'm going to lose weight and do this.
What's the app called?
Transform with Chris and Heidi.
Transform.
Yep.
With Chris and Heidi.
But when they do, and we'll say, okay, trust us, do this for a month. Let the app guide you, because the app has like smart technology where if you're plateauing, it tweaks the plan for you. Not every single person that goes on it and trusts the process is so surprised. Like if you were to go to our boards, people are like, I can't believe I'm eating this much food and losing weight. But it takes consistency and actually trusting the process. You can't just try something for 2 weeks and think, oh my gosh, it's not working. You have to stick to the plan. And sometimes our bodies do need a little bit of a reset with more food, and then it'll start evening out. And then when you plateau, okay, we'll change one more thing. Oh, plateau, one more thing. So a lot of people are under eating because we're so programmed to think that the deprivation diets and the low calorie diets are what are going to help us lose weight, because we want that instant gratification.
Absolutely.
But that's not what happened. That's not the reality of it.
So what do you think about intermittent fasting and ketogenic diets and all these other types of fads that come and go?
I think it's actually, so those two I think are great for the right person. I wouldn't do well on a keto diet because I know how my body does on carbs.
Right.
My mom, on the other hand, who's a little more mesomorph than me. I'm a blend between my mom and my dad, obviously. My dad's a lot longer and leaner. My mom does really, really well on keto. And for her, I think hormones play a part.
Yeah.
She's older, and I know a lot of her friends that are doing keto are really seeing a lot of success, and it's working for them, but it takes playing around with things. But when I say playing around, I don't mean play around, like I said, for a week and decide it's not for you. Mm-hmm. You have to commit to like a 12-week plan and see the whole thing through no matter what. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't lose weight, you're getting used to structured eating and you're seeing what works for you. So I do like keto for a lot of people. We're actually incorporating keto into our app. We do carb cycling. We'll have keto in there.
So when do you do carb cycling? Like when do you think carb cycling is a good thing to do? For who and for when?
We carb cycled with every person on our show. Every single person carb cycled. Yeah.
Okay, so tell people what carb cycling is, just because some people are like, what's carb cycling?
Yeah, so carb cycling is alternating high carb days and low carb days, which, as you know, we're so programmed to be terrified of carbohydrates. And so in my dream world, most people would be higher carb because that's what works for me.
Right.
And a lot of our people do that and lose a lot of weight. But by saying, hey, you can have carbs today, we're going to cut them out tomorrow. And when we cut out the carbs, we're going to have fat. Okay, you can have carbs tomorrow, we're gonna cut them out the next day, and we're gonna add fat in place of the carbs. So it's really simple. It's like 5 meals a day. We do a block of protein, a block of carbs, a block of veggies. A block of protein, carbs, veggies. And then the last meal of the day, we cut out the carbs on a high carb day, and then we flip it. So the next day, it'll be protein, fat, and veggies. Protein, fat, veggies.
No carbs.
For every single,
So you cycle it. One day you're able to have carbs, and one day you're not, basically.
And there are different cycles for different goals. So if your goal is to lose fat fast, we would do a turbo cycle, which has more low carb days per high carb days. If your goal is, like we have a fit cycle where it's going to be 5 high carb days to 2 low carb days. And everyone on our show did that because we had them exercising. Right. We wouldn't let them do very many low carb days until they got closer to their finale, when their bodies may have needed another carb. Then we go high, low, high, low, high, low, or high, low, low, high, low, low. But you can play around with it. And then when you plateau, you just bump it up and you do all high carb days for like a week or two.
But when you're saying carbs, you're talking more like sweet potatoes, like veggie, and you're counting fruit and veggies as your carbs, yeah?
We are. So veggies that are cruciferous and green, they're free foods for us on our plan. But if it's like a sweet potato or tomatoes, corn, carrots, those, because they have sugars, you would want to do it appropriately in your high carb content.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, that I would consider, and on our app, marshmallow dream bars.
Right, which you ate on the way here.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a high carb for me. That is a carb source. Now, is it the healthiest? No, but for me, I know I need to eat something that makes me feel like I'm indulging every day, or I'm going to end up binging. And I think most people are like that. And if every day doesn't work for you, or if it's a slippery slope, then you would say, okay, every other day, add in a food that you love, or once a week, add in a food that you love. But it's really important to have a meal plan customized to you for what your needs are and what's going to help you stick to your plan.
So, okay, so how about intermittent fasting?
Yes. Intermittent fasting, same thing. Some people do really well on it. I don't intermittent fast. And the reason that I don't is I feel like if I don't start first thing in the morning, I start having mental thoughts of deprivation, which kick me into my old patterns. But some people do better if they know they have a window. And that window, there's a beginning, which is late, but there's also an end. And just some kind of structure for them is a massive deal. And it gives them a sense of willpower too. If they're like, hey, my window doesn't open till 2 p.m. I'm going to go 2 to 8 or 2 to 10, whatever it is. And it helps a lot of people that have weird schedules with work as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not against any of it.
But you're old school though. You eat your bread. I mean, like
I do.
You're old school. You have Mark Wahlberg.
It works for me.
But listen, it works.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's my motto. I mean, you eat your lunch, you eat your breakfast, you eat your dinner. Do you have your snacks in the middle? You have your.
I do 5 meals a day.
You do 5 meals. You said. And so when you work out, are you doing strictly weights?
Right now I'm doing strictly weights. So I've done mostly weights for the past 5 years as I've tried to change my body type and going from more of a runner build, like a muscly runner build to a competitive. Yeah. And so I only run if my coach has me right before I go on stage, meaning like the week before. He might say, hey, 3 days this week, run just to flush out water, but never to really burn fat.
See, what I like what you just said, and I think this is so important, is that even coaches have coaches. Because,
and I believe the best coaches have coaches because they're teachable.
Absolutely. And I think also, even people who are fitness professionals or in this space, like you get stuck in your own rut because it's what you do for other people. It's like a hamster wheel.
Yes.
You can forget, and you need to kind of like basically spike it up and use variety and get coached properly. And so I love that you said that, because it's not, people should, no matter how fit or how much knowledge you think you have, sometimes to really get to the results or the goal that you want, you need to find somebody to help be accountable to.
It's true. And for me, I didn't realize how much I was missing out on as a trainer until I experienced my own body transformation, because my life was all about everybody else. Like it was about all 15, 20 people every single year. It was about Chris. It was about my kids. It was never about me. And while there was so much guilt, turning and putting myself through a transformation or having help put me through it, changed both me and Chris, because we both started competing, changed the way that we made plans for other people, how patient we were with their body, what we knew was capable with their body. It was the most eye-opening, amazing thing for me.
So he also does these competitions?
So, okay, this little story behind it. We actually had season 5 of our show. We had 2 people at the end of the year that stood up, because all season long, like for somebody, we will have them do milestones every 3 months. We'll be like, okay, let's go climb this mountain. Let's run a half marathon. Let's do this. So we were constantly doing these things with our people for camera and for their transformation. And so they stood up on the, it was Josh and Kelly. They stood up on stage at the end. They're like, okay, Chris and Heidi, we love you. You have taught us so much about ourselves by forcing us to do these things that make us grow. And, running these, I think they had done, I don't remember what their challenge was, but basically like, hey, we've done these amazing challenges. We want to challenge you guys. And they're like, we think you guys need to feel the same sense of accomplishment that comes from competing for you. We want to do a bodybuilding competition and we want you to do it with us. And so I'm like, what the? I had no idea. There's like bikini, figure, physique. I didn't even know there were like categories, but we both said yes. We're like, okay, whatever, we'll do it. We won't back out of anything.
Right, wow.
And then, it ended up being something where Chris, I actually wasn't convinced I was going to do it, but we went on some show, like national news show. And Chris was like, oh, we have an announcement. We're going to be doing a bodybuilding show. And I'm like, okay, it looks like we're going to do it.
We are?
I know.
That's
so
how you found out?
Yes. So I had to do it. Chris went Friday night. I went Saturday. We really trained for it. I trained, I think, harder than he did. He swept it. Like, won his division, won the older division, won overall, like came home with all these swords and trophies. everyone was like, oh, Heidi, you're going to kill it too. You're going to do great. I bombed. I had because it's all about stage confidence and presence and like knowing your angles. And it's not even about who has the better frame or build, even though I knew I needed to change a lot. It was the most devastating thing as an adult I had ever experienced. And so for me, I was like, hell no, like I am not stopping here. So I
continued.
Yeah. I called up my coach and I'm like, okay, how do I get my pro card? I am not stopping until I become a pro. So it took me 2.5 years to get my pro card, and now I compete as a pro.
Wow. So basically,
and now I love it and I'm hooked because I need a goal for me.
So what did you win? What do you have now?
You have to win or place in like a local show. So I got second. I mean, it took a while. So I finally got second in a local show, went to the national level, bombed at nationals so many times, 3 times. I had about 2 years where I gave everything, but it was almost too much in my brain when I finally let loose. And I'm like, gosh, I just need to have fun with this. The next year, it was like, I won, and then I won overall, and then I'd win this show, and I won overall. And then it's like, sometimes we have to let go in our minds a little bit and have fun and not be so serious.
Yeah. It's true. Whenever you hold on so tightly.
I was rigid on stage. It wasn't until I didn't care about the result, I cared more about the work.
Yeah.
And I started loving the work. And I started I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go on stage and have fun. Like, why? And I think I was so up in my head, like telling myself, I can't win. I can't win. All these girls, I wasn't winning. But when I was like, it's not about winning. It's about the fact that I set a goal and I'm here. And I'm at my personal best now. Now I take that and I need to present it on stage. That's when I actually started winning.
Wow.
So then the next year, I started doing a couple pro shows. I won one and placed top 5 in another. And then I took last year off because of my knee. And this year, I actually, scary to say, I actually want to try to go to Olympia. I just have to win one show.
What?
Yes, I know.
Okay, you know,
I know.
First of all, that blows my mind because for more than anything, because a lot of girls that I've met who are doing a lot of competitions, also it's a trigger for anorexia, bulimia, and food disorders because what happens is once you get off the stage and you go back to life, it's really hard because you come back, you end up
you
not
soften
looking
up.
you soften up. So I'm surprised that you put yourself in that situation where that can be a trigger maybe.
Well, for me, it's like, I feel like, because I had mentioned I might do a show in a month, I haven't counted my macros in a 1.5 years. And the reason why I spent so long counting and knowing how much I needed to eat, that I know now at night, if I don't feel like I've had enough, I need to do peanut butter and tons of banana or something like that. So for me, it's different in that I feel like I've actually intuitively gotten myself to a point where I can maintain where I am.
Right.
And not deprive. And like my binge like behaviors, any feeling of wanting to overeat, they're gone because I eat so much consistently.
You rewired your brain.
It's like not here and it's not here anymore. It's literally here. And so I feel like I can maintain this. Like if I want a sugar cookie, I'm going to eat it. Like I don't usually do gluten, but I'm going to do it. Or if I see like a piece of cake that is gluten-free, I'm going to eat it. And I just know in my mind, I can offset it by doing more protein or lower fat carbs later on in the day. So I spent 5 years kind of training my body.
So when you say you eat a high carb diet, you're not eating donuts all day, right?
No.
So what are you eating? Give me a day in the life of Heidi.
So I start every day with a protein shake and a marshmallow dream bar. Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
What kind of protein shake?
I do ours. We have the best. I'll have to send you some. They're so good.
Yes.
It's so good.
What is it though? Is it whey protein or
it's whey protein? Okay. And actually ours are the ones that I drink. So we have whey protein, but I drink the low carb meal replacement. So it's just, there's a little more fat in it, a tiny bit of carbs because I just know I need the calories. So I'll do that plus a marshmallow dream bar. 3 hours later, I'll do.
But what's in it? You don't put any
water. The flavor. Can you do whey or no?
Yeah, I can. And I know you have a new flavor. You told me. Well, I saw in your story. You're like, what's the best thing in the world?
The salted caramel.
Is that the one?
Oh, and the mint cookie. Oh, you're gonna die. You really will die.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Don't forget.
No, I will not. You will love them.
Okay.
So I'll do that in the morning just with water and ice. Chris loves to mix his with almond milk. We've flavored them so that you can just put water in it and they taste amazing. So 3 hours later, I'll do like white rice. I don't do brown.
Why?
It gets to my muscles faster. It's a faster digestion, so it's more of a bodybuilding thing. I like it to absorb. And I'll also do white potatoes and sweet potatoes. So I don't just stick with sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes have more fiber, but white potatoes are
resistant starch.
Yeah, and they're one of the most satiating foods out there. So it's they're so good.
Agree. That's my big weakness, though. I love potatoes.
But do you balance it with chicken?
Sometimes when I love the potatoes so much, I get so like gung ho. I'll have like 6 potatoes.
Okay, so if you do your protein first,
yes,
and a glass of water, that's my thing. And then with the potatoes, I'm like, I didn't like them as much as I would have if I hadn't drank the water and ate the protein first. So that's a big thing for me.
Okay,
I do protein first.
Protein first with everything.
Protein first.
Okay, and
then if I do a salad, I'll make sure there's beans or rice, or I eat like a banana on the side. I don't steer away from fruits where a lot of people do.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Yeah.
I do a ton of fruit. And then I might do another, like a Quest bar or Quest chips and like another Marshmallow Dream bar, or potatoes. I do tons of potatoes, rice, and like a Marshmallow Dream bar. Those are
What's with the Marshmallow Dream bar? You just like them that much?
They're easy.
Yeah.
And like as a mom, you're driving around so much.
You drive a lot in Arizona. In LA, you're in the car all the time.
Oh yeah, 4 kids, and they're all in dance and MMA and piano and everything in the world. So yeah, it's always in the car from one to the next.
Okay, how do you find the time? Because I'm having a real struggle having 2 kids and trying to work, trying to do a podcast, trying to do all these other like ancillary businesses. It's hard.
I know.
And like you said, you're in the car. I mean, I do have a nanny who helps me, but I mean, the truth is, if you want to be an active participant in your kid's life, you have to be involved and you have to be present.
I know, and it's really hard.
It's hard.
What are the ages of your
4
kids?
and 7 now. Yeah.
So for me, it's a little bit easier.
They're older, right? Like
older. There's an older parent and younger. So it's almost, they have each other.
Yeah.
And then I also am lucky because they both have different dads who are both sets.
That's what
All
I
right,
do
guys,
wrong.
that's what you need to do.
Yes. I should have had 1 kid with my first husband, okay, like you, and then 1 kid with my second husband.
It does make it easier in a way.
Why didn't I meet you before? You should have told me that like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I know a lot of people with their exes are like, oh, it's so bad. It's awesome for us. Like, I mean, we all have differences of opinions, but at the same time, they both want to be very active in their kids' lives. So I have double the help when it comes to men and dads.
So lucky.
And then they both love the other kids like an uncle. So Chris loves Maddox and Marley like an uncle or his own kid. Derek loves Cash and Ruby the same. So I am lucky. It's not been easy. But I am lucky.
How do you do it though? Like, do you have like a routine or a structure that you kind of like in the morning? Like, what do you do in the morning?
So in the morning, Chris and I split because our kids go to 3 different schools. So because we have elementary.
Do you help also or no?
We do have help, not in the mornings.
Okay.
So we and our help is only available for like 3-hour chunks. So we go 3 hours, 3 hours. It's these because nanny turnover, it's hard, you know.
That's more than a podcast. That's an entire series.
It is.
Yeah.
How to hire a nanny that's going to quit pretty soon.
I'm telling you, that's literally a series. That's not even one podcast. That's the bane of my existence.
I know. We're going through it right now.
Me too. It's a bane of my existence.
I'm always going through it. Yeah.
And people, and I think, is it just me?
No.
And then then I talk to people and they're like, you have no idea.
It is not.
It fucks up so many things you don't know.
I know.
Okay, we'll come back on that one.
Okay. So in the morning, Chris and I will wake up and we'll say, okay, or the night before, Kate, are you going to take the littles or the bigs? And so if I take the littles, I know I wake up at 6:30 with them and I get them to school by 7:30.
When you go with the bigs, what time do you wake up?
7.
Okay,
so not that much. Okay. Yeah, 7, maybe 7:30, because Chris and I, depending on how late we go to bed, because we are late to bed.
Okay. So 6:30 is usually
6:30.
Okay.
And then the little ones have to be in the car by 7:15, and then they go to school, and then the big ones will we alternate carpool with our next door neighbor, so they'll go at 7:45 or The middle one goes at 7:45. The big kid is 30 minutes away. So we take him to a different school because it's a better school for him. His cousin's there. Then Chris will take him and then we'll swap. So we'll kind of be like, the next morning, Chris might take the littles, I'll take the bigs. And then after school, it's all over the place. And we have to have help driving because it's just
you need an Uber driver is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's hard for you.
Oh yeah. Hard for me. And I never am going to feel like I'm doing enough. Not even close.
That's the thing. I feel like I'm doing everything kind of haphazardly because you have to spread your time and spread your. It's just very. You
spread your life.
Yeah, you spread your time. You spread everything, and then you feel guilty if you're. I feel guilty that I'm not there with my kids if I'm working too much, and if I'm with my kids, I'm like shit. I have to do this and this and that.
See, and I've had to accept because there's going to be pros and cons of both ways. Right. I've had to ignore the noise because there's a lot of noise, a lot of people telling me what I should be doing, but nobody's there but me, and so I've had to be like, what makes me a better mom? When I'm home too much and I'm not working, I don't feel fulfilled as a woman and as a human. Too. I need that. And I'm a meaner mom. I'm less patient. I'm irritable. Whereas when I'm doing things and I'm succeeding and I'm feeling good about myself, my time with them is all in. I love being with them. I'm happier. They get to see me being accomplished. They get to be a part of it. They come on my work trips with me. They're happier. They learn from what's working and what's not working with me, And
also when you're productive and you're doing something that matters and meaningful to you, I totally agree with that. You are way more, you're better, you're more present and better as a mom or a parent. Because when I have too much time or when I'm just at home, it's not a good thing. Like you were saying earlier, right? I get in trouble when I have too much time on my hands. I have to keep myself busy.
Same. Yeah. When I'm Chris and I alternate between Utah because that's where our business is. Oh. And when I'm up there alone, it's like I can't be alone with I can, and I need to be alone. That's what I realized about this year, 2020. I'm like, I need to learn to be alone with my thoughts and not let it take me down like it has in the past, because it is scary. I need to be able to be in my head and process my emotions without turning to food like I used to in the past.
Right.
Or turning to something that's going to numb it and just make my way through the emotion, not around.
Yeah.
But that's when my feelings of guilt as a mom, come in and...
People don't get it. If you don't have kids and you're not a mom, because guys don't feel the same thing, right? They don't get that gut-wrenching feeling that women do.
No.
And then for women who don't have kids, they don't, I always think to myself, if I didn't have kids, the amount of stuff that I would get done, how much more successful I would be, it would be enormous. You do too?
And then I'm like, I can't believe how selfish I was before. And not to say people are selfish that don't have kids, but now knowing how selfless I have to be, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do why wasn't I something bigger and better when I was single?
Absolutely. What I could have accomplished. I should have spent my time doing this. The things that you have to be so much more efficient.
Yes.
I need to get more shit done in the day than some people are getting done in a month.
I know. Yes.
And if I had that mentality, if what I knew now, I
knew back then.
Exactly, right?
But you wouldn't. You need the kids.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. 100%. So what's that one thing I know? Because I'm I got to wrap you up because of my kids. See, there you go. I gotta go get my kids, and I have another podcast.
Oh, sorry.
No, I love you. I can have you on for I can have you on for 5 hours. But you said one thing you wanted, if you implement my one extra rep tactic. What is that? Oh,
yeah. So I am a big proponent of every single thing I do, not just in the gym, but in real life.
In real life.
I always do one extra rep. Not on every movement, but for example, I was telling you I was training with Damien and Louie.
Yes.
If they say 3 more, I literally in my mind am like, hell no, I'm doing 4. Yeah. So I did that when I was running my marathon or my half marathons. I'd be like, okay, it says 3 more miles. I'm going to run like it's 4. And something about it for me, if I set my goal 1 extra rep, it makes rushing through the finish line so much easier. It makes getting through those last 3 reps so much easier. It makes me feel like a champ. If I know, okay, I'm going to do 20 walking lunges. And then I'm like, wait, the wall's only 5 feet away. I'm going to keep going. I'm not kidding you. That has retrained my brain in every aspect of my life. If I know I'm reading a book at night and it's like, okay, wait, I can do 1 more page. Why would I stop now? Just, it helps me go above and beyond in every single area of my life. it's the under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, it's I was going to say it's under promising and over to yourself.
To the most important person in the world.
Exactly, the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, to me, it's very much like, I kind of like it's an OCD. That's like an OCD thing that I kind of do. I don't call it one extra rep, but it works.
It does.
It does.
Yes.
Because then you like start to like rewire, like you said, your brain to actually push yourself
above and
just a
beyond.
Little bit more.
Totally.
And everybody can implement that.
It's so easy. Like, how hard is it to do one more rep?
Like, okay, give me another thing that you would do one more quote unquote rep with.
So like if I am. I mean, I always think about it with my kids. So if in my mind, I'm like, okay, I just have to I need to play one game with Ruby and Cash, or read a book to them, or I'm only going to read five pages. I try and do a little bit more. That way, it's whatever to me, I know this sounds bad, but whatever feels a little bit painful, like it's like, oh my gosh, I have to spend time doing this. I will push myself a little bit harder so that I know I'm capable of anything. So then when I'm in a situation where something feels hard, I never get scared by the hard factor anymore.
Right.
Like I'm excited by it.
I love that. I love that you call it one extra rep. I just call it OCD.
There we go.
And like just being like a little bit kooky, but it works for me. I love it. Okay, so Heidi, where do people find you? Because I mean, it's been like God knows how long, and I'm sorry I've kept you on the treadmill for like over an hour.
I love it. I burned how many calories? I don't know.
Press the white button on this wood weight. Yeah. Well, I did 215. So what did you do?
You're about 184. I had to tone it down because I'm not used to talking.
I know. Well, listen, I'm on 2.1 speed.
I'm on 1.6. Okay. I was like,
well, next time you're gonna be, a few more, exactly, a few more extra reps over there. Where would people find you and hear all about your app and all your programs?
Yeah, so on social media, I'm Real Heidi Powell on all platforms. My website is HeidiPowell.net. And you can find everything there that you need.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.
Habits and hustle, time to get it rolling. Stay up on the grind, don't stop, keep it going. Habits and hustle, from nothing into something. All out, hosted by Jennifer Cohen. Visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Happiness.